Why are you still obsessing over someone that you were romantically involved with, who you had a breakup, they moved on with your life, and you're still obsessing and you can't let them go? In this video, I'm going to talk about how to get out of this, how to heal, and also talk about my personal experience that has a lot to do with the work that I do actually in my upbringing and my tendencies that went after and searched for answers when I was obsessing over a partner that didn't choose me. So, my name is Deborah. I'm a transformational healer and intuitive coach. And this video, I think, is really going to help you. So, I want to share my personal story. I have gotten over and released and stopped the obsession over my last relationship, this one particular relationship. But I also wanted to share, and I was inspired today to do this video because I took a light nap today and I was thinking about my childhood. And this is what's so cool about your relationship with you, with the universe, with the beingness that you are, is that I asked my beingness, I asked consciousness, what is blocking me? What is it that I'm not seeing subconsciously? What is it that I could revisit or take a look at and see if there's any that is still lurking there for certain things that I want to accomplish, right? So I suddenly found myself in my little pseudo nap going back to scenes of my childhood and seeing how I was feeling, how I really felt in that environment. And how I felt was I wasn't feeling seen. I didn't feel understood. The attention was not on me. And if there was attention, it was negative. And my brother, who was younger than me, was getting treated much, I thought, much better than I was. And that was my interpretation. That was my experience. And when you're young like that, you make up your mind, right? You make up your mind about things about yourself and about the world and about others around you. And so that builds your nervous system. So I was really scanning those scenes and looking at how I was feeling. And I could clearly see that the core feelings that I had of not feeling worthy, not feeling good enough, not feeling loved, emotionally, I had needs that were not being met. Not to say that my parents were terrible or I had an awful childhood. It was just that's what I really needed, my heart and soul. So when I got older and I was choosing partners, I chose people who were good people, but just weren't emotionally available because that's what I was used to. But I wasn't being emotionally available for myself. And so the circumstances, what we are thinking in our mind and what we're projecting can be very sneaky, even when we evolve. That those subconscious tendencies can really be sneaky and can create a partnership with someone that you think is different and it ends up being exactly the same. So, what I saw was the feelings from childhood. And then when I reviewed the last relationship, I said, wow, I had the attention that I wanted in the beginning. I had someone who was interested, and it was the closest emotional intimacy that felt the most comfortable of all my relationships. That was the doozy. It was like someone that I thought was the one. This is my person. And so I held on with a death grip and it was off again and it was basically it was a shit show and I held on because I had this thought that this is my person and that I will make it work some way. And see how limited that thought is. I pushed out anybody else. Even though I did date other people, I still had my eye on this is the one, this is the person, this is who I need to be with. And I put up with so many things I should never have put up with because of that limiting belief. And so when it ended, which ended several times, I didn't realize in the moment that I was in a trauma bond. And that's what happens when you're in a trauma bond and it's up and down and all around and it's hot and cold and everything's going on. You become addicted to this person and you become obsessed. And you become obsessed of every text, every conversation. What did they say? What did they do? What did I do? It's really toxic. It's not healthy. And I actually made myself very sick physically over it. And you don't even know that you're involved in that. You don't realize that you're in the moment, in when you're in it, that you are completely obsessed over the whole situation. And even when you're in the breakup phase, you're still obsessed. And even if it tones down a little bit, it's still in the back of your mind. And so it's not something I'm proud of, but it's because it's the closest to emotional intimacy that I was seeking as a child. And I thought that I could still have it with that person, but it was so far from healthy. So I was trying to seek the validation, the love, and whenever we would get back together, it would be like, oh, I feel better. I feel because I felt like my worth was at stake in this relationship. So in the process, I of being obsessed with this person, then I lost myself. Instead of focusing on me and my own dreams and my goals and my life, I was obsessed with them and how I could make this work. And it was a lot of time that I wasted on this. Now, I don't beat myself up anymore about it. I shared in one of my videos that when I met someone else that showed me what was possible, that was completely different, that's when I finally was able to let go of the death grip on this. And I could clearly see my limiting thoughts that created all of this. And it was finally the catalyst that I was able to completely let go. And so this is what happens is when we are obsessing over someone, we are just absolutely probably replaying whatever we were going through as children or even as adults. And maybe you were married and you got divorced and suddenly your life was turned upside down. A lot of times people that have even had stable marriages that break up, they end up in a situationship and a trauma bond afterwards, and they're like, what the hell just happened? But anyway, these connections really bring up these wounds that need to be healed, and they get activated when we are with somebody like this. So it's an opportunity to release those limiting beliefs because everything that we are experiencing out there is a result of what we are thinking and feeling in our mind. So, whatever thoughts we are entertaining about ourselves is always with it's a thought and a feeling. And we are putting that frequency out. We are broadcasting that out into the field. And that's what we are experiencing with someone who is reflecting it back to us that maybe we feel unworthy, we feel unlovable, we're not chosen. So that was what I was holding on to subconsciously was this projection of I'm not chosen. It's I'm not worthy because I'm not chosen, I'm not paid attention to. And so this was running in the background, this tendency. And when I was today just scanning the childhood, which was really interesting, it felt like spirit was showing me, remember this? This is where it came from. You can share that with others. And it's not that I'm in it anymore, but it's looking back at that time and how I felt. And those tendencies of thinking and feeling are not so easy sometimes to release because we've been holding on to those sometimes for lifetimes. And so I was listening to Joe Dispenza today, and he talks about those feelings, those thoughts and feelings, and how you can shift out of them by thinking of what you want and feeling it as if it's already happening. And that's the activation, and that's the antidote to the thoughts and feelings that you're holding on to, maybe about I'm not chosen or I don't have enough money. You're coming from that sense of lack. And with the new thoughts that you replace them with, it's like you start to change your frequency. You think of what you want, you think of how you feel about yourself and about what you want, setting your intention. But also, when you set your intention, you feel what is it that you're feeling? How are you feeling about having abundance or having the love that you want in a partner where someone does choose you? But see, it's not that, a lot of times when you're obsessing over someone, you're waiting for them to choose you. I've seen this so many times in clients and friends. I did it myself. And there's so much waiting going on, it's waiting for them to choose you. But that's when you have to turn around and choose you first. And it's funny because when I coaching people in sessions, I said, I know it feels awkward because you've been completely focused on this other person. You've been obsessing over this person. And they feel this awkwardness of having to take that energy and put it on themselves, especially women who've been mothers, right? Who've always been giving. And then suddenly they have to turn that energy onto themselves, and it feels awkward at first. But then it becomes this beautiful relationship with you and with the beingness and the love that you are. And then you start to feel worthy. You start to feel loved. You feel loved and you love others. And so your capacity grows. And it's very much feeling, but it's also changing your thinking, changing your thoughts. And that's how you get over the obsession. Because really, when you finally have released those limiting beliefs about, oh my God, this is my person and I'm never going to find anybody else, oh my God, blah. Which, by the way, lots of creators, lots of coaches, lots of inspiring people can say and confirm, yes, this is your person and this is your twin flame and all that stuff. But it's still a belief. And anything is possible when you are in the consciousness, the beingness that you are. You don't have to hold on to these thoughts because it's in the astrology or it was predicted by a tarot reader. It's still limiting because we've had many soulmates actually, and there are many more to come. So why limit yourself on one that you were absolutely sure and positive that they were your person? Maybe they were in another lifetime, but you can move forward. You can have many lifetimes in one lifetime. You can completely shift gears and evolve really fast by releasing these limiting beliefs and starting to really think about what you want. And then things will start to fall into place, and they fall into place magically when you really release these tendencies of obsessing, especially over a person, or obsessing over what you don't have, and trying to control on the outside, trying to get control, approval, security of everything on the outside. Because when you're in that mode, that's when you obsess. But when you can release those, then you're in the peace and the happiness and the contentment and the fulfillment. And then you become a magnet for everything that you want. And you're finally free from toxic connection of pull up and down, on and off, and manipulation and control, because both parties do it in a trauma bond. So I've been jumping around a little bit here, but this is the way I have found works for me to get out of the obsessing over someone. Not checking text, not checking social media, not checking anything, walking away completely, washing your hands of this. Again, it's not easy because there are feelings involved. But when you could take a step back and really look at your thoughts that are running the show, especially subconsciously, and seeing those tendencies, then you can free yourself. If this video resonates with you, I'd love for you to like and subscribe, and you can also join my community. Everything's in the description in this video. You can join my private Facebook group. You can book sessions with me and or join my lives.